Okay. Hello, friends. Jay, I wish that entire board must be visible. Okay, it's visible. Done. Hello, friends. Very good evening to all of you. I welcome you all to this session of the strategic cost management. Myself, Pankaj Kapoor, rather spending the time on discussing who I am, what I used to do, what are my education and the professional qualification. Friends, I wish to spend a minute on the pedagogy which we will follow in the upcoming lectures. I must tell you that the lectures allocated to me are the lecture number, chapter number 4, chapter number 5, and the chapter number 8. In the first tranche of the 4 lecture, we will cover the chapter number 4 and the chapter number 5. And then we'll do the chapter number 8 as and when it becomes due. Friends, I will keep my pace slow so that I can help my those friends who didn't study costing very well during their intermediate. You have right to ask me the query as and when you feel necessary. If you still feel that I'm moving a bit fast, please let me know. I will slow down the speed. But we need to cover the 19 questions related to this particular chapter itself, which were asked in the previous examination and also tested in the RTP and MTP. Now I will take you to the Excel sheet, the various questions which we need to cover. I believe the Excel sheet is visible to everyone. So friend, these are the 19 questions which were tested either in the previous examination, the cases where it is shown in the red color in the board, and the rest of the question are either tested in the study material or in the RTP or in the MTP. Apart from that, after discussion or after discussing each of the concept, we will try to consolidate what we learn with the help of these notes. So these notes are available in the download section of the LBC. I believe that all of you already downloaded and print these notes. But if still any of my friends didn't print out these notes, no matter to worry, you can only download the notes and refer these notes along with me. Agreed? Okay, friends. Now let me elaborate what we supposed to study in the chapter number 4. Okay. Friends, in the chapter number 4, the first topic which we need to study is the cost control and cost reduction. Friends, please let me know the board is visible to you or not. Is my writing is visible and visible to you? If it is not, I try to write bit larger, and if anything else is possible at our end, we'll surely do for the better experience. Okay. So the first thing which we'll learn, friend, that will be the cost control and the cost reduction. Up till now, you already learned this thing in the intermediate, but your learning is only limited to the difference between the two. Here at the final level, we will improve our learning experience. We will learn one advanced version. How we will learn the advanced thing? We will learn that how the cost reduction is considered as modern technique, strategic technique, whereas the cost control considered as the traditional technique. What are the various limitations of the cost control due to which we need to consider the cost reduction? Apart from that, friends, we will also learn the various prerequisites of the cost control. The name of chapter number 4 is the cost management techniques. The first technique which we will learn apart from this topic in the chapter number 4 is the target costing. Friends, you know that today's market is competitive. Since the market is competitive, hence it's not possible for the firm to be the price maker. The firms are the price taker. Since the firm is a price taker, it means it will have to accept the price prevailing in the market. The moment we say that the firm need to accept the price prevailing in the market, it means the prices are market led. Obviously, the firm, if sell the product at the market led price, also need to earn amount of profit in order to run the business in the profitable manner. Hence, the desired profit must be earned in order to run the business for the longer term in a profitable manner, in the sustainable manner. Hence, if we reduce this desired profit margin from market-led price, we can compute the target cost. Friends, in this class, we will not limit our discussion to the determination of target cost. We will also learn how we can reduce our expected cost or actual cost to the level of target cost. We will learn the tools. In order to learn the tool which we will apply to reduce our expected cost to the level of target cost, we will apply value engineering, we will apply value analysis, we will apply Kaizen, we will apply lean manufacturing. Although the Kaizen and the lean manufacturing you already studied in the chapter number 3, so we will not spend time on that, but we will spend due time on value engineering and value analysis. Friends, there is another new technique prevailing nowadays, that is design for manufacturing assembly. Presently, this topic is not in the study material, but I am very much sure that in the upcoming edition, this is going to be inserted in the study material. So very important. I will again repeat the full form of design for manufacturing assembly. What is the full form? Design for manufacturing assemblies. Okay, now coming back. So the first technique, friends, which we need to learn is the target costing. After the target costing, the second technique which we need to learn in the chapter number 4 is the life cycle costing. Friends, in India, we are concerned with the cost of purchase. We hardly concerned with the cost of ownership. We must consider the cost of a product or an item which we buy during entire its life. Now, in order to emphasize on this particular thing, let me tell you a small story. A company developed the product. The moment company developed the product, obviously the R&D expenditure is too high. When the product moved from development phase or introduction phase to the growth phase, then the R&D expenditure will be low. It means over the product life cycle, the amount or the pattern of cost may change. We need to study as well whether the product is profitable, at which stage, what is the profitability level of the product, in order to understand which of our product are the star product and which of our product are not good for us or a question mark product. You can link it with the BCG metrics as well. Boston Consulting Group, we will do that. Now move to another aspect of the life cycle costing. Usually what we do, being a chartered accountant, we are the number cruncher, we are the finance expert. So we will try to identify the performance and the position of business after every financial year. Rather than considering the cost for a particular financial year, Don't you think it is better to consider the cost of entire product life than decide it is better to manufacture, sell the product or not to manufacture and sell the product? Take an example along with me. Prior to mobile phone in the market, there was a pager, and the pager life is only year or more than a year, around 1.5 years. Rather than preparing the two financials, isn't it better that we consider the overall life cycle cost? Similar way, for the product which is having the 4-5 year of the life, or even though larger than that, we can apply the life cycle costing there as well. So while learning the life cycle costing, friends, we will also learn product life cycle, the various phases, and the behavior of the cost during these phases. Now moving further, the third thing which we learn, the third technique which we learn in the chapter number 4, that is Pareto analysis. Mr. Wilfred Pareto, don't worry, the name you need not to very curious right now in order to note. Everything I will mention in the notes, like way the notes I give for the today's session, I will give you the notes for each and every session. So you will find all the name, all the terms, all the references written in the notes. So you need not to be, you can say that worried about things that sir quoted some name and we didn't listen it well. We need to note it back to what we need to do. Don't worry, wait it down. The third technique which we need to learn, that is a Pareto analysis. The name of the person is Wilfredo Pareto. Wilfredo Pareto is an economist. During his university study, what he did, he conducted a study of the land ownership pattern in the Italy. He identified that the 80% of land in Italy owned by 20% of the people in the Italy. So this principle or this relation which Mr. Wilfredo Pareto identified, later on famous as 80-20 rule. Then Mr. Joseph M. Juran, who is considered as father of quality management, apply this 80-20 rule to the strategic cost management. Please understand a small story in order to understand this concept. What Mr. Juran advocates, if a company is fighting against the waste it generates, in order to reduce the cost, it must analyze the causes, the reason of the wastage. Obviously, if we prepare the list of the various causes which give the rise to the waste, which causes the waste, then we find 20% causes are of such a nature that will result in 80% of the wastage, and 80% of the causes or the reason are such a nature which will result in 20% of the wastage. Then now tell me, my friends, is it important to focus on these 80% or these 20% causes? Obviously these 20% causes, because this result in 80% of the wastage. If I control these 20% reasons, I can reduce my waste by 80%. Hence the Pareto principle, renamed as Pareto analysis by Mr. Joseph M. Juran. And what Mr. Juran said, that this rule can be applied to the various aspects of the strategic cost management, like the customer profitability. 80% of customer leads to 20% of profit, but the 20% of the customer lead to 80% of the profit. So focus on the 20% of the customer, which lead to the 80% of the profit. Agreed? Now the last thing, friend, which we study in the chapter number 4, that will be EMA. The full form of EMA is Environment Management Accounting. Friends, ecology is gaining importance nowadays. Apart from being profitable, a business need to be sustainable as well. And in order to be sustainable, the business must focus on the people and the planet apart from the profit. So apart from people and profit, the planet is also important. Ecology is also important. Take an example. There is a company which is engaged in the business of oil extraction from the seabed with the help of oil rig. Obviously, it caused some sort of damage to the ecology, marine life. Don't you feel it is the responsibility of the business to bring the marine life in the position or in the status in which it was actually prior to the oil extraction starts? If the company need to incur certain costs to ensure the pollution should not happen, if the pollution happen, then we need to bring the ecology to back that level. The both sort of environment cost, be the prevention cost or the correction cost, need to be included while determining the cost of production. Agreed? Hence, friends, it's very important to consider the cost incurred on account of the environment caused by the decision of the business. Agreed, friends? I believe that it is quite clear to you that we are going to learn target costing, life cycle costing, Pareto analysis, and EMA in order to either control the cost or reduce the cost. Pareto is a technique which is widely used in order to control the cost by determining the factor which causes the 80% of disturbance. But whereas the remaining three techniques, the target costing, life cycle costing, and EMA, is a largely relation or related to the cost reduction. No doubt these can also be used in reference to the cost control. Friend, this much is the introduction. I believe now you are in the best position to move to learn about the today's session. In the today's session, we will try to cover the cost control and the cost reduction apart from the target costing. But we will not run fast. If you feel that our speed is too much and we are not getting all the things, then it's not useful for us to be in that speed. Okay, so I'll keep the speed or the pace as per your discretion and advice. Okay, just let me clean the board so that we can move to the today's agenda. So firstly, we will discuss the difference between the cost control and cost reduction. But prior to that, we will discuss how the cost control having certain limitation, what is meant by the cost control and what is meant by the cost reduction. So what we'll do, I will firstly tell you a story in order to understand the concept. Then afterward, we will read the notes which I shared with you. Then afterward, if you have any query, you can ask me. Then we'll wind up the first topic, then we'll move to the second topic. So this pedagogy, the method of learning, we will follow. Okay, friends? If you have any query, although in the meantime, you can send me. But I'll take all the queries when we complete this particular topic, the cost control and the cost reduction. Like someone is saying, good evening, very good evening, Ji. Okay. So let us quickly understand the cost control and the cost reduction. Friends, you must acknowledge that profit is the feature of revenue and cost. By increasing the revenue, we can enhance the profit. By reducing the cost, we can enhance the profit. By selling more number of unit at the same price, or by selling the same number of unit at the higher price, we can enhance the profit. Similar way, by reducing the cost, we can enhance the profit. It means one can say the profit has a direct relation with the revenue. The bottom line profit has a direct relation with the top line, the revenue, but has a inverse relation with the cost. I believe you all are agree with me. Now moving further. If a firm willing to enhance the profit, what are the two ways the company is having? The first way is what? Improve the revenue, increase the revenue. What is the second way? Reduce the cost. But in the competitive environment, is it viable for the firm to increase the revenue? No doubt it may be possible, but in order to increase the revenue, it may have to incur huge amount of advertisement cost, selling cost. In the competitive environment, it is difficult for firm to maintain the market share. Then how it is possible for any company or firm to enhance the market share? No doubt the possibility is there. The Jio did the exceptional thing in the telecommunication. But we are considering a normal case and the viability. Obviously, the Jio incurred a huge amount in order to capture the market. Okay. So now coming back to our discussion, there are two ways to enhance the profit. One, to enhance the revenue, other to reduce the cost. Enhancing the revenue is not possible in the competitive environment. Even though if it is possible, it may be costly solution. Then it's better that we must focus on the cost control and cost reduction. I believe, friends, now you are understand why we are going to study the cost control and cost reduction. What is the need? The need is due to competitive business environment. Okay. Now, moving step further. Firstly, we will discuss the cost control. Okay. Friends, you must acknowledge this fact that the cost is incurred by any firm due to the action of executive. EXE means executives here. The management of the company take the decision. We are going to manufacture the product. Obviously, for manufacturing the product, certain processes need to be performed on the raw material to convert it into the finished goods. Then the sale personnel will sell it and render the after sales services. In the process, the company will incur the cost. So cost is nothing but the feature of the action of the executives. So if any company willing to control the cost, what it need to do? It must focus on the action of executive. Hence, one can say the cost control is regulating the cost by controlling or managing the action of the executives. Now, I will take an example so that you can understand this thing better. Friends, Orbit company is manufacturing this calculator. Although Orbit is not only manufacturing the calculator, Orbit is also manufacturing the watches, Ajanta Orbit. The Orbit is also dealing in the home appliances, other electronic product as well. Now, if the Orbit company willing to do the cost control or willing to implement the cost control, what the company will do? They will identify what are the various products they will manufacture. The calculator, the watches, then the home appliances. So these all are the products which the company manufacture. So the company give the target to the calculator division. Friend, now we must use or introduce the technical term. Rather than the division, will say the cost center. If it is engaged or responsible for increasing the cost. If it is responsible for earning the revenue, then the revenue center. But for the meantime discussion, when we will not reach up till chapter number 8, we will say it cost center. Okay. The word which I am saying is not suitable in all the cases, But till the moment we reach to the chapter number 8, so you can say the calculator division or the cost center, which is responsible for the production of the calculator. Okay. So what the orbit company will ask to the division responsible for manufacturing of calculator? Okay, you need to produce 1 lakh calculator. We will allocate the budget to you of 4 crore. You should not incur more than 4 crore rupees. Hence, a budgeted allocation was made to the calculator department or division that your cost must not shoot up 4 crore rupees. It means we can learn one thing from this. In order to control the action of executive, what the management can do, what the management accountant can do, management accountant can give them the targets that you need to attain or produce the goods within that targeted cost. Now, friends, the target can be external, the target can be internal. Internal target can be based upon the standard cost or can be based upon budgetary control or the budgeted value. Agreed? The external target usually derived through benchmarking. Okay, friends. So now we will quickly revise in order to consolidate what we learned. In order to control the cost, firm must control the action of executives. In order to control their action, the firm must assign them some target. Target may be internal, target may be external. Internal target may be based upon standard cost or the budgeted cost. Likewise, in the case of the ORPET, to manufacture this calculator, the production department of the calculator was assigned with the budgeted allocation of 4 crore rupees. Now, what the management will do? Management will cross-check against the actual cost incurred by this particular division on the regular basis, on the continuous basis, that the cost must not move more than the 4 crore. Agreed? So what you need to write in the examination, if you supposed to quote that cost control or supposed to mention about the cost control, so you must write cost control is a way to regulate the cost by controlling the action of the executive of the organization. Now, one thing more. To control the action of executive, the target need to be allocated. Now, the last thing. The target allocated to the executive need to be measured against the actual performance of the executive. Friends, here I am regularly or repetitively using the word executive, but you can also use the word manager who execute the plan, who execute the strategy. Okay, so that can also be done. Now, friend, one more thing afterward, which we will move to the notes. So, can anyone suggest me what are the prerequisites? Okay, friends, those who are live, can you suggest what are the prerequisites of the cost control? Prerequisite means the requirement which must be there in order to install or in order to apply or in order to practice cost control. Can anyone suggest me? What are the prerequisites? Okay, I'll help you here. Then I will ask you the question as well in order to involve you in the discussion. Okay. Even though if someone is writing the answer, keep on writing it. I will surely read it and revert back to you in order to improve your understanding. Okay. Friends, the first prerequisite in order to implement the cost control is what? The organization structure must be clearly defined. Only then we can give the target or fix the target for that particular division. If the ORPET, which is manufacturing n number of product, and we wish to control the cost of manufacturing the calculator, So obviously the manager must be allocated the task so that we can identify that manager which is responsible for the production or manufacturing of the calculator. Hence, the organization must be structured, and the responsibility center must be identified. This is the first prerequisite. Apart from that, friends, there are some other requisitions. What are like the prerequisite? The requirement of the feedback system, the requirement of the record maintenance, and regular communication to the management, and the management based upon that communication identify whether the actual performance in line with the target or away from the target. If it is not in the line with target, the management will issue the advisory. Then the action of executive must follow the advices of the management. If the management feel that currently the calculator division is working in such a manner that it will incur the cost more than 4 crore, then okay, some of the friend answers it. Okay, budget, absolutely fine. Deepa answered from Mumbai, budget. Then from Tamil Nadu, someone answers the remove wastage. No doubt, removing wastage is very much important. We will remove the wastage. We will see that which action of the executive causes the wastage. We'll try to control that. Very good, friends. Okay. Let me consolidate the point which I'm talking with you, or at which we were discussing. So we were discussing that it's important that division must be structured, and there must be a feedback system, and there must be communication system. Apart from that, one thing more is there. That is what? That is the proper feedback, and then taking back or moving back to the manager to whom the task is assigned. It means following up or following the person to whom the task is assigned must be there. And in order to motivate the manager, we must give them some sort of incentive. Now, friends, we will move to the notes quickly and learn or consolidate what we learn in the form of story. Are the notes visible to everyone? I believe it is visible to each and every one of you. And if you print out the notes, it's better so that you can write on that as well. But if you not printed till now, don't worry, I will read it for you. So friend, the first statement which is very much important, which we must acknowledge, that anything which can be measured can be controlled. So if we can measure the cost, if we can quantify the cost, we surely can control the cost. So no one can argue that the cost cannot be controlled, sir. What we are talking, that is not possible. It's quite possible. If we can measure the cost, we can surely control the cost. We can manage the cost. Now moving to the note number 1. Friend, note number 1 is based upon this equation which we studied. Okay. What it says in the competitive, please underline the word competitive. In the competitive business environment, it is not possible to increase the sale. Hence, the cost control and the cost reduction are the two preferable ways to enhance the profit of the company. Agreed? Hence, the two strategies which are available to the company is either the cost control or the cost reduction. And we learn one among them up till now. So, moving to the note number 2. The note number 2 is explaining the cost control. What it says, cost control means regulation of cost of operation by controlling the action of the executive. So cost is incurred when the executive performs some action. Control their action, you will automatically control the cost. But in order to control the action of executive, what you need to do, you need to fix the target. Note number 2A, my dear friends. The target may be external. The target may be internal. Internal target may be based upon standard costing or may be based upon the budgetary control. Here, friend, you need to note one more thing. It means cost control is a periodical concept, because budget are not prepared always on the rolling basis. It is prepared for a particular period. The standard cost determined and allocated for the compliance for particular period. And both the budget and the standard cost are determined usually basis upon the past year performance, except in the case of zero-based budgeting. Hence, it is largely depend upon the accounting data. So all the limitation which is of the cost accounting will become automatically limitation of the cost control. Hence, cost control is not always best thing. It is not free from the limitation. It also has certain limitation. Agreed? So friends, quickly revise note number 2. The cost control means the regulation of the cost of operation by controlling the action of executive. It involves the setting up of the target. After setting up of the target, what you need to do? You need to continuously comparison. Now, some of my friends may be confused here. They will say, sir, yahan pe to continuous likha hai, but whereas you said that the cost control are the periodical technique. Friend, yes, cost control are the periodical technique, but during that period, the review of the actual performance against the target must be done on the continuous basis. It means if we make the budgeted allocation for a quarter or for a year, then during that quarter, on the monthly basis, on the weekly basis, we must compare the actual performance with the budgeted performance. Are we deviating from the budget? If we are deviating from the budget, we must take the action in order to be again on the budget. Agreed, friends? So the continuous comparison of the actual performance against such target is must in order to regulate the former. Regulate the former means regulate the actual performance. Agreed, friend? Now study the prerequisite, friends. These prerequisites are given or suggested by calling sheet and the government. In their book, the name of the book was Cost Accounting and the Principal and Managerial Application. And it's not only the calling sheet and the government suggested that. Even though if some of my friends read the call and duty, because it's one of the recommended book or the standard textbook on the costing, then find on the page number 36, chapter number 2, the call and duty also suggests that responsibility center must be identified in order to practice the cost control. Okay, so we'll not go much into the detail or the names of the various book, but I just mentioned here, it must be important that we must know the source as well. So from point of view of quoting the source, I mentioned here. Further, you will find n number of things which I quoted, but I will not explain the source to that. Okay. Now, some of my friends, prior to moving into this particular topic, some of my friends may be curious to know, so why we are reading this much of the theory? Friend, the nature of the paper is in such a manner. Now you are not asked the numerical question, you are asked case-based numerical question. So it may possible that in some of the question, they may ask whether there is a scope of the cost control or not, whether this organization can apply the cost control or not. I will not discuss the previous question which were already tested. Apart from that, I will not discuss only the previous question. I must correct my statement. I will not only discuss only the previous question, but I will also discuss the probable question with you, which will be asked in the upcoming examination. So it may possible that you will find the case where it is asked to you, explain or check whether there is a possibility company can do the cost control. So you must check these 6 points. If these are available, the cost control can be easily applied. Otherwise, firstly, we need to ensure these 6 points, then the cost control can be applied. I believe the purpose of reading these 6 points is very much clear to you. Okay, now read these points. The first point, effective delegation of the authority, means the responsibility center must be identified and the authority must be delegated. Why must be delegated? Because a person had responsible only for the thing for which he is having the authority. Number 2, clearly defined target. Target must be clearly defined and must be settled after discussion with the responsible manager. Okay. Further, the motivation to encourage. The motivation may be monetary, may be non-monetary. Non-monetary motivation may include the declaration of employee of month or the employee of week or the employee of year and similarly. The timely and efficient reporting. Only then management can compare the actual versus the standard or the budgeted data. Hence, the actual reporting should not be quarterly or yearly. The quarter passed away and then the management come to know that what has been done, that is pretty much wrong. Otherwise, it will become a postmortem. Postmortem only tells the reason of the death, the cause of the death. It will not stop the murder. And be the management accountant, we need to be a bit proactive. Hence, we must ensure that there must be efficient and the timely reporting in order to implement the cost control. Further, the recommendation must be followed by the action. After comparing the actual with the standard or the budgeted, management obviously recommends some of the corrective measures to the responsible manager. Then responsible manager must follow the advices of the management. Hence, it's a team effort. It's not only effort of a one person to control the cost. Further, the effective follow-up system. Then the management must follow up to that particular manager in order to ensure that whether the cost control is actually performed or achieved or not. Agreed? Friends, we completed the 3 notes. We attained the learning objective 1. What is the cost control and its prerequisite? If any of my friend not clear with any of the concept which we discussed up till now, please let me know quickly. I'll wait for a minute or 2. If any of my friends, Riba from Kerala, the PPT is blurred. Rajay, what I feel that now it is clear. It might be only due to the internet connectivity. That's why I suggested that the notes which is available in the download section, you must download and print it so that you can read from the notes. These notes are already available in the download section. From the next class, don't worry, you must print the notes. It will not be more than the 8 or 10 pages so that it will become a convenient for you. So that many a thing which I just quote while speaking or telling the story or explaining the concept, you can also make the notes of same, because it's very helpful in order to revise just a day before the examination. Anyone else who's having the query, please? Any query from the first 3 notes? Can we move forward? Yes, okay. Okay, friends, now we will move forward and again move to the board in order to learn about the cost reduction. Agreed? Now, friends, you must ask a question that whether it is possible to manufacture the calculators, whatsoever with the number of calculators, 1,000 or 10,000, what we are manufacturing here, at the cost less than 4 crore. I will repeat my point so that you can get a clarity on this. Friend, we must ask a question that whether it is possible for the calculator division to produce the same number of calculator at the cost less than 4 crore. If the answer arrived yes, the calculator which is manufactured by calculator division of the ORPET by incurring 4 crore, that can be produced at something less than 4 crore, like 3.5 crore or 3 crore, then it means the cost control will not lead you to the optimal level of the cost. It means the budgeted target which you assign or the standard cost which you assign, that cost is not optimal cost. Further cost reduction is possible. Hence, cost control has some limitation. The cost which is considered as a yardstick, which is considered as a benchmark, which is considered as a best cost to achieve, which is considered as a target, may be possible, not an optimal cost. We may incur the cost which should not be incurred because we have a cap of the 4 crore. So due to having a wrong cap, we are not looking at the sources of the cost reduction. We are ignoring those sources. Hence, the first limitation of the cost control is that the cost which cost control talking about may be possible, not the optimal cost. Now the second limitation. Friends, when I ask the calculator division of the ORPET to manufacture these calculator 10,000 number in the 4 crore rupees, then it may possible in order to achieve their remuneration, in order to achieve good performance bonus, the responsible manager who is responsible for the production division in the ORPET for the calculators compromise with some quality so that he can attain the cost of 4 crores. Agreed or not? It means cost control no doubt reduce the cost or control the cost, decrease the cost, but there is no guarantee to the quality. This is the second limitation of the cost control. Hence, we need a technique which will reduce or decrease the cost at the same time. At the same time, ensure the quality as well. So what is that technique? The cost reduction. So cost reduction is a systematic technique through which we can attain real and the permanent cost decline or the reduction while ensuring the quality or the value must not be hampered. Friends, here a question may come to your mind, what is the quality? A very easy definition after considering the Joseph M. Juran or the Togachi, many other authors on the quality. The very easy definition on the quality is what? Quality is a nothing but the conformance to the need of customer. If you can meet the need of the customer, you are rendering the quality product or the service. If you are not able to meet the need of the customer, you are not rendering the quality service. Now question arises, how to quantify the need? The need can be quantified in reference or in form or in term of use of that particular product. It means if your product render the use or the utility which customer wish to attain from the product is a quality product, otherwise the product is not a quality product. Friend, here I must tell you, the use can be seen in terms of the value which the customer derive from the product, and value can be use value and value can be esteem value. That we'll discuss later on, but here I must tell you one small example so that you can understand this thing. I need to wear a watch, wristwatch, in order to see the time. That is the use value. But I must wear a rodo watch, that is esteem value. I need a car in order to move, in order to commute, that is the use value. But I need an Audi car, that will be the esteem value. I hope you got the point, the difference between the two. Okay. So in order to conclude, the cost reduction is the real and the permanent technique to reduce the cost without hampering the quality. Friends, prior to moving to the notes, let me tell you the scope of the cost reduction, that how we can reduce the cost or where there is a possibility to reduce the cost. Okay. In order to understand the scope or the possible area of the cost reduction, you must understand one graph along with me. On the x-axis, there is life cycle. I will not draw all the 4 phases. I will draw the three phases which are very much important for me: the design phase, the manufacturing phase, and the sale or after sale phase. Agreed? Here we are not quoting the product life cycle. Here we are just quoting the phases through which sorry, the phases through which product moves over its life. Okay, so don't confuse it or try to match up with the product life cycle. And on the y-axis there is a cost. Friends, if I ask again to the design team that we wish to develop the calculator, and you must design the calculator which will manufacture in the upcoming time. Like we now is the time which is affected by the corona, so oximeter is in a high demand. So our company is a pharmaceutical company and willing to manufacture the oximeter. So they are looking that how we can manufacture the oximeter, what are the way possible. So what will be the first step which will be performed? Obviously, it will be designing of the product. Then there will be manufacturing. Then there will be sale and after sales. Okay. So when the designing team will design the product, be it oximeter or be it this particular calculator, then they will say this will be the specification and the features. This will be the specification and the feature which the product will carry. Here one conclusion can be taken. What is that conclusion? That the price is nothing but the function of the feature which the product will render. If the product will render more feature, it will be costlier. If the product will render less feature, it will be cheaper. Take an example. If I wear a watch, which is a normal watch, tells the time only, its price may be less. But if I wear the watch, which is a digital watch, on which I can receive the call and receive the mail, it cost may be more. Hence, friend, the feature of the product is important thing, which will determine the price as well as the cost. If you keep on adding the feature to the product will become costlier and the price charge may be more if those feature having the value to the customer. But if you reducing the feature, obviously you will have to incur the less cost. And the feature of the product are determined at the design phase. So here when the engineer or designer finish the design, then feature of the product is already determined. Hence, the cost is committed. Mind my word. What I said, the cost is committed. I didn't use the word incurred. I used the word committed. The cost is committed here. But when it will be incurred, it will be incurred only when you enter into the manufacturing phase. So if I draw two curves over here, one, the cost incurred. So it will look like how? Here only incurred this much of the cost, which is nothing but the salary of the designer and the engineer. When you enter into the manufacturing phase, you will incur huge amount of cost. Then there is a sale and after sale. So selling overhead and after sale services. So there will be further cost. So it means the majority of cost is incurred during manufacturing, but the majority of cost committed during the design itself. So if Orpit company manufactured this calculator in a 400 rupee, when it was known to the person that it will be manufactured in the 400 rupee when the design was finalized. So in order to reduce the cost, manufacturing phase is not important. Which phase is important? Design phase. And the cost reduction must be implemented during the design phase itself. So scope of the cost reduction. The first scope of cost reduction is what? That is the design. The design of the product. Friend, here note one another thing. Apart from the design of the product, we also need to consider the design of the processes through which the product is manufactured. The processes are equally important through which the product will manufacture. The input will be converted into the output. The final product will be prepared. Hence, the design of the product and the processes are the first scope area. Now, moving further, the second scope area, that is the organization itself. If the organization is properly structured, the role and responsibilities are properly explained, then culture in the organization is good. Obviously, the benefit cannot be directly seen in the form of the cost reduction, but it will lead to the economy. Why? Because if the organization is decentralized and the responsibility are assigned to the management, hence the decision can be taken as early, and it will save the time, and time is equally important to the money, and the cost automatically will reduce. Hence, it's very much important that organization structure must be correct. The third scope area, friends, that is the factory layout and the machine utilization. Don't worry, everything is written in the note. You need not to copy. The layout of the factory is very much important. Why it is important? Because the layout involves the setting up of the floor, production floor, which is a major reason of the motion of the worker. You can link it with the scientific management, Frederick Winslow Taylor. You can reduce the motion of the worker, hence the time spent by worker in order to produce the product by changing the layout. You people already studied the 5S. So the 5S can be applied here. The layout can be improved. Further, the machine utilization. You need to see whether your machine are optimally utilized or not. Is it a good time to replace the machine or not? It might possible by replacing the machine, the productivity may improve, which will lead to the cost reduction rather than the cost on account of the capital expenditure. Okay. Now the fourth and the last scope area of the cost reduction is what? That is the production plan. You must have a foolproof production plan. In mean, the sequencing of the machine through which the product will be produced are set in such a manner that the product need not to wait during the production. The WIP should be less possible. The GLT production may be considered. The waiting time need to be reduced in order to reduce the run time. And finally, in this way, we can reduce our cost. Agreed? Now, friends, quickly move to the notes in order to consolidate. What we learn. Okay. I believe the notes are visible to you. Now move to the note number 4. What it says, the cost reduction is the real and the permanent reduction. Please mind, my dear friends, it's a real reduction as well as it's a permanent reduction, because once you identify by improving the design, you can reduce the cost. So now whensoever you manufacture, your cost will be less. Hence, it's a permanent change. It's not like the manner in the budgetary control, you achieve the budget in the one financial period, in the next financial period, you fail to meet the budget. So it's a permanent reduction till the optimal level, not till the level which is defined to you. Hence, the cost reduction believe no cost is the best cost. You will try to keep on reducing the cost till the optimal possible level. Further, in the unit cost of the goods manufactured or the services rendered, without impairing the utility for the intended use. It means the quality is guaranteed in the case of cost reduction, but whereas in the case of cost control, it was not. Now some caution point which you need to be focused upon. Although here I tell you that these are the scope area. How the company will identify the scope area? They will take the help of cost reduction team in order to identify the scope of cost reduction. Further, friends, the cost reduction is not a regular job of the management. It's a kind of drive. The management feels that the cost is too high. It may not put the product into the market, losing the market share, willing to reduce the cost. So it moves on a drive in order to reduce the cost. Hence, when you move on a drive to reduce the cost, you take a first drive to identify the lacuna. What are the various lacuna in the production process? What are the lacuna in the design? You can improve the design in order to reduce the cost. When the first time you will do this practice, you will move on the cost reduction drive, it's easy to find the lacuna and not costlier to plug them. But the second time you move on the same drive, it's difficult now to find the lacuna because most of the lacuna already plugged. Hence, it is costly. Hence, it's become costly for you to practice the cost reduction. Hence, prior to implement any change in the design, prior to implement any form of the cost reduction, you must do cost benefit analysis. If after performing the cost benefit analysis, you find it is still beneficial, then implement, otherwise don't go for the change. Last but not the least, the cost reduction bring the permanent changes. Hence, the change management is essential in order to counter the resistance from the employees. Okay. Now moving further, the note number 5, the scope of the cost reduction. You can see the same diagram which I prepare here for you. Although my drawing is not so good, but I feel the concept is clear to you. You can see the diagram here. Here it is shown to you that 80% of the cost, 80% of the cost, this point, which is I'm marking right now, is committed at the end of design phase. Here the design phase is completed. So 80% of the cost is committed here. Although the cost incurred only is the 10%. This curve is of the cost incurred and this curve is of the cost committed. So as early in the design phase you implement the cost reduction, you can save more amount of the cost. And this curve is of ease of change. If once the design is fixed, can you change the design? No doubt you can change the design, but it will become difficult. The easiness is keep on reducing. Okay, friends, I believe that this chart is clear to you. This chart can be used in order to conclude a very important conclusion that 80% of the life cycle cost, which the product will incur during its life, is committed at the design phase only. This point is tested many number of times, even though the previous examination itself. Okay, we'll see the question based upon this itself. So, who are the person who said this thing? There are the two person, Kaveri Limited and James A. Bimson. These two gentlemen in year 1988 wrote an booklet of 250 page approx for the Harvard Business Press. And in that they mention, even though the company which are working in the advanced manufacturing facility, means which are using the machine and other sort of the element, those company commit even though they are 90% of cost at the conclusion of the design phase when the product is designed. Although they incur the cost when the product actually manufactured, but they commit the cost. Okay. So what are the possibility to reduce the cost at the design phase? You can look for the cheaper substitute if possible for you. Instead of using the high priced component which you assemble in the final product, you can use a cheaper component, but mind it, it should not hamper the quality and should not hamper the function which your product is capable to read down. Further, the less variety of material you must be used. Don't use the component of the various type. If a car manufacturing company manufacturing the car, obviously it will have to put the door to every car and the door must contain the handle. So it must try that the handle of all the model of car must be same. It will help in the inventory control. Apart from inventory control, it will also bring the economy of scale. This thing is also known as the standardization of the component. Further, reduce time of operation and increase the productivity in order to reduce the cost. And last but not the least, again, the standardization and the simplification of the process. What do you mean by the simplification? make the design of product in such a manner that the scope of mistake while manufacturing the product will reduce, the scope of the wastage become reduced. Simplify the design. The design is simplified, it will become easy for the worker to manufacture the product more quickly. Further, there is an organization, the benefit is quoted here. If each function is clearly defined, the proper assignment of task is there, the suitable channel of communication is developed, the cooperation among the worker are there, the doubts and the friction are removed by the management, and it is encouraged to the employee to give the cost reduction suggestion, means suggesting the Kaizen, then it is obviously possible to identify the areas where the cost can be reduced. The third point, the scope area of the cost reduction, the factory layout and the equipment. You must see how we can improve the layout in order to reduce the production time or the run time. At the same time, you must see whether we are optimally utilizing our equipments or not. Further, the production plan must be foolproof, which will lead to no waiting time or less possible waiting time. Okay, friends, you already solved the OEE or compute the OEE in the previous lecture. The production plan in such a manner that OEE must improve using the lean manufacturing. Okay. Now moving to the note number 6, the tool and technique which can be applied in order to do the cost reduction. What are the tool and technique available? The value analysis, inventory management. Inventory management may include JIT, backflush costing, then the business process re-engineering, the target costing, Kaizen, standardization of product and component. This note is nothing, but it comprises only the topic or the concept which we will study in the strategic cost management. Okay, so the techniques which you studied in the strategic cost management, they are used to reduce the cost. Hence, friends, we attain the learning objective 2, that concerned with what is the cost reduction and what are its scope. So if any one of you having the doubt, please let me know, ask it quickly, so that we can move to our next topic, which you usually study or you already know, the difference between the cost control and the cost reduction. But this time you are not going to cram it, because we discussed this much on the cost control and the cost reduction. I believe that each point will be now clear to you. Okay, friend, I will give you a minute or two. Please quickly ask the queries. Okay, friends, please. Anyone who is having the queries, please ask me. Can we move forward? Okay. So, okay. Don't worry, keep on asking your queries, whatsoever you have, I'll answer them. In the meantime, I'll read the note number 7 for you. Note number 7, differentiate the cost control and the cost reduction. The cost control include the comparison of the actual versus standard, but whereas cost reduction deals with the real and the permanent reduction. Hence, the comparison is not required. Further, the cost control are largely the temporary savings, because it may be possible that in 1 year you attain the budget, in the next year you miss the budget. But whereas the cost reduction savings are realistic and they are permanent too. Cost control is not a guarantee to the quality, but cost reduction is the guarantee to the quality. Cost control includes the setting up of the target, but in the cost reduction, we believe no cost is the best cost. Hence, we are not setting any kind of yardstick. The cost control is no doubt dynamic. It's also changed the pattern of working, but it will not change the design of the product and the processes. But whereas the cost reduction is a dynamic approach, hence also deals with change in the design of the product and the processes which will follow. The cost control, emphasis upon the past and the present cost, because as I mentioned that budget are usually based upon the previous performances. The standard cost is also based upon the actual of the previous periods. Hence, it deal with the previous and the previous information as well as the present information, but whereas the cost reduction is futuristic in the nature. The cost control is a preventive measure, whereas the cost reduction is a corrective measure, because we are correcting the way or the design. Okay, that's why it's an corrective measure. Now, friends, please tell me up till the learning objective 3, is any student has any kind of a query? If it's there, please ask me. We will solve the query right now, as we'll move forward to the target cost. Then we'll solve the question on the target cost as well and learn about the target cost. If you don't have query, just type no query or it is clear to you up till now what we discussed. My friend, those who are the live right now viewing this lecture, please ask the query if you have. If you don't have any query, please mention it that we can move further. It will give me a kind of a feedback that we are moving on a right track. Okay, then we'll move on the target costing. We will learn that what target costing means, how we can attain the target cost, and what are the various techniques available to us. Okay. Friends, I believe that you all agree on this particular point that in the traditional costing or in the earlier time, we develop the product and then we incur the cost in order to manufacture the product. We develop a product and then we incur the cost in order to manufacture the product. And then we add the desired profit into the cost in order to determine our price. Isn't it? So this is what we used to do. This is what the traditional costing suggests. Incur the cost, add the profit margin, and determine the price. But this thing has limitation. The first limitation is this: we incur the cost, not try to reduce the cost or control the cost. We ignore the possibility of cost reduction and cost control. Agreed? Second limitation: we ignore the price which is charged by our competitor. Third limitation: we also ignore the price which customers are willing to pay. It may be possible that you produce the product at the defined cost and add the profit margin to that and launch your product in the market. But no one is ready to buy your product at the price at which you wish to sell that product. Hence, it is important that rather price become the feature of the cost. Cost must be the feature of price. Cost must be the feature of price. When we say the cost must be the feature of the price, it means we will not firstly incur the cost and compute the cost. We will first try to estimate the price. Now, listen a story in order to develop the understanding on the target costing. So what happens when a company willing to develop a new product? It will not design the product and manufacture the product and incur the cost and then determine the price. Obviously, we understand the limitation with the traditional costing. So now the firm do what? They will move into the market to estimate the price. Hence, whensoever the firm try or going to produce the new product, even though for the existing product, they can do this exercise. But it is mostly practiced in case of the new product. They will conduct a market research that what is the price which customer are ready to pay and what are the feature expected by the customer from the product. Hence, considering the feature, we get an estimated or expected price. Agreed? In the case of existing product, if your competitor is selling the product at the price lesser than you, you can also take that price here. But in case of the new product, you will conduct the market research and identify at what price you can sell the product in the market. Now this market team come back to the company and say, sir, the product can be sold at this particular price. So this price now becomes target price at which you will sell the product, at which you will try to target to sell your product. This can also be said market led price. Agreed? So this can also be said market led price, or this can be said as target price. Obviously, if you sell the product at some particular price, you need to earn the profit as well. You will reduce the desired profit margin based upon the financing side of the balance sheet and the long-term objective of the company. What ROI company wish to target. Okay. So considering the financing side of balance sheet as well as the ROI which the company is targeting, the profitability which the company is targeting, you will identify the profit margin, you will reduce that and then determine the target cost. Agreed? So target cost is a systematic way to manufacture the product of specific feature which will ensure the desired margin to the company at market-led price. Agreed? I believe this thing is clear to you. What is the target costing? So target costing is a systematic technique which will help the company to manufacture the product containing the specific features which create the value or generate the value for the customer and also to earn the desired profit margin. Agreed? Now move to the notes quickly in order to consolidate what we learn. Okay. Now friends, quickly see the note number 8, target costing. Read along with me. Target costing is a structured approach. This is very important. It's a structured approach. It's not a philosophy. TQM is a philosophy. But target costing is a structured approach. The steps are there. If you follow those steps, you'll surely be able to reduce the cost. Further, to determine the cost at which a product must be produced with the specified functionality. This is very important. Target costing is not about reducing the cost only. Apart from reducing the cost to the target cost level, it is also concerned with ensuring the feature of the product. Agreed? To generate a desired level of the profitability Likewise, here we talk about the profit margin and at anticipated selling price. Okay, just let me move back to the whiteboard in order to consolidate this definition along with you. Okay, I believe that whiteboard is visible to all of you. You can see that target costing is what? Systematic manner so that we can produce the product at some defined cost with the defined feature, which will help me to earn the margin at some market-led price. I believe this thing is clear to you. Now moving back again to the notes. Read the note number 9 along with me, my friends. Note number 9. The target costing is almost exact opposite to the cost plus margin. The traditional method, which we discussed here, the cost plus profit equivalent to the price, where the company produce the product with the no cost structure in the mind. They incur the cost whatsoever they feel that it must be incurred, and then add the profit margin in order to determine their prices. But there are certain limitations of the traditional cost plus pricing method, which I already discussed with you, that it ignores the price charged by the competitor, it ignores the price which the customer is willing to pay, and it also ignored the cost control possibility and cost reduction possibility. Agreed? Is it clear to everyone? Can we move to the question? This question is given on the page number 4.20 of your study material. Friends, quickly suggest me if you have any of the queries. Can we move to the question now? My friends who are online, viewing the lecture right now, ask if any of the query is there, else we'll move to the question. Okay, I'll read the question. In the meantime, if you feel that there is some query, please type and send it to me. Okay. KTC expect to successfully launch Toy H based upon some Disney character. Although I'm not aware about the various Disney character, but somehow there might be some character based upon which they will going to launch their toy. The KTC target the selling price rupees 100 per toy. So what will be their market-led target price? The market-led target price is 100. And the profit of 25% on the selling price. So what is their desired profit margin? Their desired profit margin is 25% of 100. So it will become 25% of sale price. Sale price is 100, and so it will become 25. Further, KTC must pay 15% royalty on the selling price to the Disneyland. KTC need to pay the royalty because their toy is based upon the Disney character. Hence, in order to use the copyright of some other entity, the royalty is agreed to be paid, and the rate of royalty is 15%. 15% of what? Of the selling price. The selling price is 100. Hence, the royalty will be 15 rupee. Can anyone suggest me what is the target cost here? The target cost will be 60. The target cost will be 60. Friends, is it clear to you? Friends, please suggest me. Is it clear to you that the target cost is 60 so that we can move further? Okay. Now, what it says, the cost data forecast are tabled below. There are two components which will be used in order to manufacture toy. The component one, H1 and component H2. Please mind, my friend, here is a knowledge point for you. When any final product is made of certain component, then those components are known as assembly component. Take an example along with me. There is this punching pad in my hand, and it has two major components which was assembled to manufacture this. The pad and a cover down under the pad to carry the dust or the waste which it will generate, or the pieces, round pieces of the paper which it will generate. It may possible that particular product may not have any components. It's a single unit product, like this particular scale in which the characters are coated. It's a single unit product, but it may possible that certain product may have certain assembly component. Like when you can see this sharpener. This sharpener has the three assembly component. One, the plastic, then the blade, then the page, which is used in order to tight the blade on the plastic pad. Agreed? I believe this thing is clear to you, that it may possible that a final product may have n number of the component. And it's very important from the perspective of the target costing, because what the target costing will do, once you come back from the market by knowing at what price you will sell the product and reduce the desired margin to that particular price and identify your target cost, then you will componentize that target cost, that at what price each assembly unit must be prepared in order to attain the final target cost. Agreed or not? Hence, those products where the component are used in form of the assembly in the final product, the possibility of application of target costing is a high there, and the benefit is also high there in comparison to the one unit product. Agreed? Please move forward. Okay. So Aman, it might be due to the internet connectivity. At my end, the connectivity is okay. But if connectivity is bit low at your end, so you need to wait for a minute or two. But surely the answer will be visible to you on the screen. But don't worry, I will also solve this question on a whiteboard as well. Okay. Friends, let's move further. I believe that this thing is quite clear to you. Now moving, apart from these two components, H1 and H2, it also requires the labor hour. It requires only 0.4 of the labor hour, and the hourly rate of the labor is 60. Hence, 24 rupees of labor will be incurred to manufacture each toy. Further, the product specific overhead are the 39.5. Further moving, in addition to the above, although I structured the question in this manner, otherwise the table is above this paragraph, so that's why it's using the word above. In addition to the above, each toy required 0.6 kg of other material other than H1 and H2. So it also requires some other material other than both the assembly components, and 0.6 kg means 600 grams. Okay, that is required to be used, which are supplied at the cost of rupees 16 per kg. What is the rate of this material, friends? The rate of this material is 16 rupee per kg with a normal 4% of the substandard quality. Here we need to acknowledge the material which we purchase is not of that good quality in entire 100% that it will be used in the final product. Hence, we need to purchase something more than what we use as effective input into the product. If you study this line again, that the product has a normal substandard quality of 4%, then you will recognize this thing. If I purchase 100 gram of material, the 4 gram out of that will become the waste, and only 96 gram will be inserted into the product or production process. In order to make one toy, I need 0.6 kg or 600 grams. So in order to manufacture one toy, I will have to buy something more than 600 gram. How much I need to buy so that I can insert 600 gram into the production process? Divide 0.6 by 96. How I determine this 96, friends? I determine this is 100% minus the wastage of 4%. Okay. I believe it is clear to you. I will explain my point once again so that if any of my friend not able to carry the point, must carry the point while I'm explaining it again at the time of the second explanation. Okay. Rajay, we need to insert 0.6 kg to manufacture one toy. But the material which we buy could not be inserted as input due to the wastage, the substandard nature, the poor quality. Hence, the purchase quantity are not equal to effective introduced quantity into the product. The quantity introduced are less than the quantity purchased. In order to quantify the cost, I will have to see the total purchase quantity for the production of one toy. Hence, if I purchase 100 gram, I can insert in the production only 96 gram. But in order to make the toy, how much I need to insert? 600 gram. So obviously I need to purchase something more in order to manufacture the toy. How much I need to purchase? I need to purchase, friend, 625 grams. How much I need to purchase? I need to purchase 625 grams instead of 600 grams. So now 0.6 kg divided by 96%, this will give the answer 0.625. Multiply it with the rate per kg, that is 16, it will give me the value of 10. So apart from incurring this 8.5 and 7 on the material, 15.5, you will also incur 10 rupee on the other material. I believe it is clear to all of you. Now, what is the requirement in the question? Here we are here. Okay, we need to read another line. There is a 4% substandard quality which is not useful in the manufacturing. Okay, we consider it in the same manner. The waste, we consider it as a waste only. Determine the target cost. We already determined the target cost. What is the target cost, friend? It's a 60 rupee. Evaluate whether the forecasted cost is lower to target cost. Obviously, we need to add 8.5, 7, 24, 13.5, and 10. And whatsoever the cost come to me, that will be my expected cost. Because when the marketing team, after the market survey, coming back to the company and say that the customer ready to buy the product at this much of the price, obviously engineering team, which is responsible for designing of the product, also make some sort of the estimate. In order to manufacture these feature, we will incur this much of the cost. And then they compare the cost which they estimated with the target cost. If the estimated cost is less than the target cost, start manufacturing. If the estimated cost is not less than target cost, what we need to do? Cost reduction. Now I believe you link all the points. Okay. So what further they say? If not means what? If your expected cost is not less than the target cost, then suggest by what amount you need to reduce your cost. Okay. Friend, let's quickly solve this question. Then afterward, you are rightful owner of the break. If you ask me that I must give the break, I will give the break of the 5 minutes. If you ask me to continue, we'll continue the lecture. Okay. Just move back to the whiteboard so that we can solve the question. I feel that you have the fact of the question, or otherwise you will remember the fact of the question while we are solving the question on the board. Okay. So question is KTC. Page is 4.20 of your study material, January 19 edition. The first working note, that is a determination of target cost. Friends, the market led price is given to you, or the target price is given to you in the question, that is 100. Figures are in rupee. Okay. Less the desired profit margin, that is 25% of the sale price, 100. So it will be 25 rupees less the royalty, that will be 15% of 100. It will be 15 rupee. So 100 minus 25 minus 15, it will become 60. Target cost. Okay. Friends, now move to the note number 2. Please solve the answer along with me. Don't only copy the answer, otherwise you will not gain the confidence that you are able to solve the question. So my advice to you that you must solve the question as well along with me. The calculation of forecasted cost. Figure again in rupees. Forecasted cost or estimated cost. The component H1, H2, that is 8.5 and 7. Then there is other material. What is the cost we computed? 10. How we computed that cost? 0.6 kg of material is required, but material is of the substandard nature by the 4% of the total quantity. Hence, it yielding us only 96%, and the rate of material is 16 rupee per kg. Hence, it will become 10. And how we compute this 96%? It is 100 minus 4%, which is the rate of substandard nature. Further, the labor cost, it is directly given to you in the question. The labor cost is 24. Can anyone tell me the prime cost? The prime cost will be 8.5 plus 7, 15.5 plus 10, 25.5 and 24. It will be 49.5. Further, there is product specific cost, and that was 13.5. Hence, the estimated cost will be 63. Is it clear to everyone? Quickly write on the query link or the query portal. Is it clear to everyone? If anyone has a doubt, please ask me right now. Read the requirement along with me of the question, what it says. Please read the requirement, friends, in the question. What it asks? Determine the target cost. We determine the target cost, and that is how much? It is the 60 rupees. Further, evaluate whether the forecasted cost is lower to the target cost. Answer is no. Forecasted cost is 63 rupee, whereas the target cost is 60 rupee. Hence, we need to re-engineer our product in order to reduce the cost. Hence, it means we need to apply the cost reduction. This is what the requirement of the question. If not, advise what should be the extent of cost reduction. What should be the extent of cost reduction? Minimally by 3 rupee, we need to reduce the cost. Thank you, Aman. We will continue. So minimally 3 rupee by which we need to reduce the cost. And how we drive this 3 rupee? The 63 rupee of the estimated cost and 60 rupee of the target cost. Agreed? So quickly note it down the answer so that we can move further. Okay, I'll give you a minute only so that you can note down the answer of this particular question. Friends, we will move to the examination question. Now suggest me, do you need a break? Quickly suggest me, do you need a break of a 5 minute? I don't believe that we are running this much fast that we need to move on a break or need to go on a break. We are moving at very reasonable pace. And still, you are rightful honor. If you wish that we must move on a break, then we will. Else, we will move to the examination question. And the question which is given on the page number 9 of the notes, we will move to that particular question and solve that question. The question was asked in the November 2018 exam for the 9 marks. We will move to the question number 3 given on the page number 9. Okay. The Ravi from Ranchi. Sir, as per you, the cost reduction is better than the cost control, but the cost reduction is a corrective and the cost control is a preventive measure. Please resolve. Ravi from Ranchi. Yes, the cost reduction is a strategic in nature, but whereas cost control is traditional in nature. It may possible for any firm, cost reduction is better to follow than the cost control. The first answer to your query. And the second thing which Mr. Ravi asked, that cost control is a preventive measure, but whereas the cost reduction is a corrective measure. Rajay, in the case of the cost control, we assign the budgeted allocation or the standard cost prior to the start of the period to the responsible manager. Hence, it's a preventive measure that cost must not overrun. If you remember the example which we took, in the case of the ORPED, we will try that the cost must not overrun the 4 crore rupees. Hence, it's a preventive measure. We assign the target prior or at the beginning of the period for which the target is. But whereas in the case of the cost reduction, because target costing is a cost reduction technique. So here we estimate the cost will be 63 as per the current design. We need to reduce it to the 60. Hence, it's what? It's an corrective measure. We are correcting the design in order to reduce the cost. Mr. Ravi, is it clear to you? Please suggest immediately. If it's not clear to you, I will answer the query again at the end of the session. But if it is clear to you, we will move further. And also suggest, do you need a break? The other participant who are online with me, please quickly suggest, do you need a break or we can move further? Amanji, I accept your advice, but let the other student also suggest. I believe that if no one is eagerly asking for the break, then we can move further. Okay, let's solve the question, and then we'll see that we need a break then or not. We can continue the session because we have a good number of the concept to cover and questions to solve. And I feel that I must do as much possible more number of the question in the class itself along with you on a whiteboard so that you may gain a kind of confidence. Okay, please friends read the question number 3 on the page number 9 of the notes along with me. This question was asked as a larger question, but I only extracted that portion which is relevant to the target costing, and that question is of the 9 marks, the question 2 part A and sub part 1 of that. Okay, the question was originally asked in the November 2019 exam. Please read the question along with me. The Pixel Limited is a toy manufacturing company. It sells the toy through the own retail outlet. It's very useful information, but from the perspective of supply chain management, not from the perspective of target costing. Because if the company is selling the toy through its own outlet, it means it has a full control over the downstream supply chain. It purchases the material need to manufacture the toy from the n number of supplier. It is also important information. Why it is important information? Because supplier don't have a bargain power, because there is an n number of suppliers. There is not a limited supply. Recently, due to the entry of few reputed foreign brands in the toy market, and particularly in the segment in which the Pixel Limited is doing the business, it's facing the threat to operate profit. Now it is a relevant fact for me. The profitability is declining and Pixel is concerning about its declining profitability. Obviously, it will look for what? It will look for the target costing to maintain the desired profit margin. Moving further, product related information. Each toy requires 4 kg of the material at rupees 19 per kg, and 5% of all the materials supplied by supplier are found to be substandard. Rajat, the question just we solved in the we solved a minute back of the KTC Limited. The same concept is tested here. Friends, some of the material is of the substandard nature. Hence, we need to treat that. How we will treat that? Okay, see along with me. The 4 kg of the material we require, but 5% is a substandard. Hence, we need to buy or insert more than 4 kg. How much we need to insert? We need to insert 4 kg divided by 95%. So it will be 4 divided by 95%. The answer will be 4.210 kg. Okay. So this much of the material we need to insert in order to manufacture a toy. Just give me a minute. There is a one query from Mr. Shivaraj from Chennai. The target to be fixed for all the cost. Is it, sir? Yes. The target is need to be fixed for all the cost or all the components. You determine the target cost of the product, then you need to componentize the various component, then allocate the target to each of the assembly component. Then that particular component must be manufactured within the target cost. Obviously, the final product after assembly will be manufactured within the target cost. I hope Shivaras, I believe that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Pardon me if I'm not. I believe Shivaraj, your query is resolved. We can move further. Okay, please read this point once again. Each toy requires 4 kg of the material at rupees 19 per kg, and 5% of all the materials supplied by the supplier are found to be substandard. It means we need to insert 4 kg, but we need to buy 4.210 kg because 5% material is not effective. The effective insertion or input is less than what we purchase or inserting into the production process. So I believe this thing is clear to you. And what is the rate per kg? The rate per kg is a 19. So if we multiply this, so it will come as 80 rupee approx. Hence the material cost to manufacture each toy by the Paxel Limited. Material cost only, not a total cost. Material cost to manufacture each toy by the Paxel Limited will be 80. Moving further, the labor hour requirement for each toy is 0.4 hour and the labor hourly rate is 120. So 120 into 0.4 hour, it will be 48 rupee to manufacture each toy. So the labor cost is also given to you. Moving further, the market research has determined that the selling price of toy will be 240 per toy. Hence the market-led price is given to you. And how much is the market-led price? It is 240. The company required to earn 50% of the selling price. The 50% of 240, that will become 36. How I compute the 36, friend? It is 50% of 240. So the target cost will be 204. The market research estimate the selling price will be 240 and the margin which you wish to earn will be 15%, that is 36, 15% of 240. Hence the target cost will be 204. Moving further, expected demand for the toy in the upcoming year will be 50,000. Likewise, if we are solving question now in the 2020, in the year 2021, calendar year 2021, the demand for the toy will be 50,000. The sale and the variable overhead per unit for the 4 quarters of the year will be as follows. The quarter 1, the quarter 2, the quarter 3, quarter 4. Mind it, quarter 3 and 4 are the festival season. Hence, it might be possible the raw material is not easily available in the market or the labor are available in the scarcity. Hence, the labor rate or the other cost may increase a bit. And that you can also witness by seeing increase in the variable overhead rate in the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter in comparison to the first 2 quarters. So read this line once again. In order to consolidate, the sales and the variable overhead per unit for the 4 quarters of the year will be as follows. In the first quarter, you will be able to sell only 7,500. In the second quarter, 9,000 unit of the toy. In the 3rd quarter, 15,500 unit. And in the 4th quarter, 18,000 unit of the toy. The variable overhead per unit will be 22 in the quarter 1 and quarter 2, but in the quarter 3 and 4 it will be 24 and 25. Now moving further, the total fixed overhead are expected to be the 625 for each of the quarter. My dear friends, please mind it. The 6,25,000 is for the each quarter, not for the year. Okay, so the quarterly cost is given to you here. Now moving further, the production manager decided to produce 12,500 units in each of the quarter. In a year, there are 4 quarters, and in each quarter, he will produce 12,500 units. It means he will produce the 50,000, but he will not produce 50,000 in alignment to the market demand. He decided his own pattern of producing 12,500 for each quarter. So obviously there will be inventory lying in the store. This will lead to the inventory holding cost. In the first quarter, you will sell only 7,500 units, but you are producing 12,500 units. So the 5,000 units will be lying in the store, which will cost you the holding cost. Read along with me. The inventory holding cost will be 18 per unit of the average inventory per quarter. It means the cost to keep 1 unit in the store for 1 quarter is 18 rupees. Okay, the inventory holding costs are not included in the above mentioned cost, and this cost is not included in the variable overhead or the fixed overhead. Okay. So this is a clarifying statement given in the question. Further, assume zero opening inventory. It means the year which you are just going to start in the next year, there is no opening stock at the beginning of quarter 1. Okay, now read the requirement along with me, then we'll move on the board to solve the question as well. Okay, Rajiv? What is the requirement? You are required to calculate the cost gap that exists between the total cost per toy as per the production plan and the target cost per toy. Target cost we already computed, friends. That is 204. Now, friends, we need to compute expected cost as per the plan of the production manager. The friends which are moving with me since the beginning of the lecture, they might remember while discussing the scope of the cost reduction, the fourth point which I mentioned was production plan. And you can find the same term here, production plan. It means production plan is a very important instrument which will decide, or one of the component in order to decide the cost incurred during the production. Agreed or not? Done? I believe the questions fact given in the question are clear to you. We can move to the board in order to solve the question. The requirement is also clear to you. We need to compute the target cost that we already computed. Now we need to compute the cost as per the plan or the production plan made by the production manager. Okay, friends. Let me move to the whiteboard. Let me clean the whiteboard for me so that you can solve the question along with me. Okay. This is the examination question asked in the November 2018. Don't worry, in the November 19 also a 20 marks question was asked. Sorry, this was question asked in the November 19, not November 18. Please check it. Okay, don't worry, let's solve the question, then later on we'll see that this question asked in which attempt, but it was asked in the previous examination. So first thing what we'll do, friends, we will estimate the inventory cost in this particular question, because we are very much sure that inventory cost is going to be incurred by the Pixel Limited, because they are not manufacturing in alignment with the number of units to be sold. They are manufacturing some quarter more than that and in some quarter less than that. So quickly compute the inventory cost. Working note 1, inventory cost. The figures are in rupees. Friends, there are how many quarters? There are the 4 quarters in the upcoming year. Obviously, it will be 4 in all the cases. The quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is there any opening stock in the quarter 1? It is given in the question to you. There is no opening stock in the beginning of quarter 1. Moving further. The production. Production in the each quarter is 12,500 as per the production plan developed by the production manager. Okay. Now the sale in the first quarter was 7,500 units. In the second quarter was 9,000 units. In the third quarter was 15,500 units. In the fourth quarter, it was 18,000 units. I believe it is clear to you. Now compute the closing stock. Friends, we produced 12,500, we sold 7,500. Hence the closing stock available with me is 5,000 units. Amount in the rupee, but although these things are in the unit term. Okay. So how much number of the units are available with me at the end of the quarter one? It will be 5,000. So it will become the opening stock for the quarter two, 5,000. Now in the quarter two, 5,000 unit we already have in the store. We produce again 12,500. It will become 17,500, out of which 9,000 unit we sold in the market. How many units left with us at the end of the quarter two? It will be 8,500 unit. I believe it is clear to everyone. If it is not clear to everyone, please quickly write in the query box or the query portal so that I will explain it again. In the meantime, I'll solving the another two quarter. Okay. In the quarter three, the opening stock will be 8,500 rupee and 12,500 rupee is our production. The sale is 15,500 rupee. Obviously, the closing stock which will be left with me, 85 plus 12,500, it will become 21, out of which we sell this much, and the pending stock with me is 5,500 unit. This will become the opening stock for the quarter four. Hence, there is nil because 18,000 is available and 18,000 is sold. Okay. Now, friends, we need to compute here the inventory cost. Read the line which was mentioned in the question related to the inventory cost. I'll help you and let you move to the notes so that you can read that line along with me. It's very important. Okay. I believe the notes are visible to you. Let's read this line. I'll change the color. I'll use the highlighter so that you can. Okay. Please read this line, very important. Inventory holding cost will be 18 per unit of the average inventory per quarter. We need to compute the average quantity and then compute the inventory holding cost at the rate of 18 per unit. Now quickly, firstly compute the average inventory. Average inventory or average stock. Although from the financial accounting preview, there is a difference between the stock and the inventory. Only the finished goods is considered as a stock, but whereas the inventory also include the raw material and the WIP. But from the perspective of the management accounting, we are very much okay with using this terminology or interchanging these two terms. Okay. So, friend, those who are not very much convenient with the mathematics must see this thing and then move to this average inventory. Okay. The opening stock, this is nothing but the quarter one. At the opening of the quarter one, there is no inventory, zero. But at the end of the quarter one, there is 5,000 unit available with me. We are presuming here that the production during the quarter take place on the pro rata basis, and the sale is also taking place on the pro rata basis during the quarter. Hence, what is the average inventory available to me? The average inventory will be 2,500. Or what formula can be developed? 5,000 plus 0 divided by 2, that will be 2,500. Hence, average inventory can be computed opening plus closing divided by 2. It's quite easy, but still I help those friends who are not very much convenient with the mathematics. Okay, let me rub this thing quickly so that we can solve the question further. So what will be the average inventory for the quarter one? Average inventory for the quarter one will be 2,500. Average inventory for the quarter two will be 85 divided by 2. It will be 85 plus 5,000 divided by 2. It will be 6750. How I computed this? I'm going to make a small note for you so that you will not have any sort of the doubt in your mind. Okay. Moving further. 85 is the opening inventory, 55 is the closing inventory, hence the average inventory will be 7,000. 55 is the opening inventory, closing inventory is 0, hence the average inventory will be 2750. Is it clear to everyone? Now quickly compute the inventory cost. At the rate of 18. So 2500 into 18, that will be 45,000. Then 750 into 18, that will be 121,500. Then 7,000 into 18, that will be 1,26,000. Then 2750 into 18, that will be 49,500. Friends, this is the inventory cost for quarter 1. This is the inventory cost for quarter 2. This is the inventory cost for quarter 3. And this is the inventory cost for quarter 4. So can anyone tell me what is the total inventory cost for all the 4 quarters or for the year? The total inventory cost will be 45,000 plus 121,500 plus 126,000, 49,500. This will be 3,42,000. Is it clear to everyone up till here? Please quickly suggest me. Is it clear to everyone up till here? So that we can move further. Okay, I'll move on a side so that you can see the screen and copy the screen. Take a screenshot. Those of my friends who are online and viewing this lecture right now, they must take a screenshot so that answer must be preserved with them. Friends, up till now, we don't reach to the final answer to this particular question. We only solved the working note number 1 in order to compute the inventory cost for the upcoming year. Okay, now move further. We require only this figure, so we'll keep this figure on the board and rub the remaining of the amounts. Okay. So now what we need to do, we need to compute the estimated cost. Apart from that, we need to compute the target cost. Firstly, we compute the target cost. Although we already solved the target cost while reading the fact of the question, but again, we are solving it. Target cost, the target price, which is given to you in the question 240 per toy unit, reduced by the desired margin. The margin is 15% of 240, that is 36. Hence, it will be 204. This will be your target cost. Okay. Now, moving to expected cost. Expected cost as per production plan. And this is in rupees. Friends, please mind it. In the question, the every cost which is given to you is not in the uniform manner. Some of the costs are given per unit, some of the costs are given on the quarterly basis, some of the cost is given to you likewise the moment we computed, that is on an annual basis of inventory cost. So what we'll do, we'll convert all the data firstly on the annual basis, and then we divide it by the 50,000, because in the year, how much number of the unit we produce? We produce the 50,000 unit, and target costing is a you can say the systematic manner to produce a unit within the target cost, and then we'll compute it on a per unit basis. Okay. Firstly, we'll compute it for the entire year. So write down the first heading, material cost. If you remember, while reading the fact of the question, we prepare a small working note, but I'm writing it again for your reference. 4 kg we need to use, but 5% is the substandard. Hence, we need to divide it by the 95. Because the material actually inserted and effectively inserted are not the same. So we need to buy something more than the 4 kg. And the per kg rate is 19, as the per unit material cost will be 80 rupee. And during the year, we are going to manufacture 50,000 unit, and this cost will be 40 lakhs. Please mind the zeros, it's a 40 lakh. Don't increase or decrease the zero, please, by noting. Further, the labor cost. We require only 0.4 of the labor hour, means 24 minutes. And the rate is 120 rupee per hour. Hence, to manufacture 1 unit, we require 48 rupee. We are going to manufacture 50,000 unit. Hence, the labor cost will be 24 lakh rupee. I believe it is clear to everyone. Further, the next expenditure, variable overhead. Please, friend, now you need to be a bit focused, because the variable overhead per unit is different in each of the quarter. In the quarter 1, the rate was 22. In the quarter 2, the rate was 22. In the quarter 3, the rate was 24. In the quarter 4, the rate was per unit rate was 25. And in each of the quarter, we manufacture or produce 12,500 unit, 12,500 unit, 12,500 unit, and again 12,500 unit. Agreed? So if you compute this and sum up these 4, so total variable overhead which you incur during the next year will be 11,62,500. Okay, 11,62,500. Further, the fixed overhead. While reading the fixed overhead, I mentioned you that please focus. We must be acknowledge this fact that the fixed overhead are given to us on the quarterly basis. What was the quarterly fixed overhead? 625,000. And there are 4 quarters in the year. Hence, your fixed overhead for entire year will be 25 lakhs. Now, last but not the least, the inventory cost we just computed as per the working note number 1. Inventory cost. Because the unit produced in each quarter are different from the units sold in each quarter. That is 3,42,000. Okay. Now, can anyone tell me what is the total cost incurred during the year? 40 lakh plus 24, 64 plus 11,265 plus 25 plus 342. This will become 1 crore 4 lakh 4,500. Okay, and by incurring this much of the total estimated cost, how much of the product we produced? 50,000 unit. What is estimated cost per unit? The estimated cost per unit will be 208.09. Okay. I believe it is clear to everyone. I believe it is clear to everyone. Now quickly move along with me to the notes just once to read the requirement so that we can finally consolidate on this particular question. Okay. I'll show you the whiteboard again. Friends, read along with me what the requirement asks you. They ask you that you are required to calculate the cost gap that exists between the total cost per toy, and apart from that, you also need to consider the target cost. Agreed? Now we need to consider the cost gap. Okay. I take you on a board. What is the per unit target cost? 204. And what is the estimated cost per unit? 208.9. What is the difference between the two? The difference between the two is 4.09. Hence we need to run cost reduction drive in order to reduce the cost by 4 rupee and 09 paisa per unit. Agreed? Friends, quickly note down the answer or take the screenshot so that we can move to the next concept, which is theoretical in the nature. We will gain the knowledge on some of the theoretical concept, and then again we will move back to the practical question. Friends, this question was for the 9 marks in the November attempt. The target costing question was asked in the November 18. Then it was asked again in the November 19. It might be asked in the November 20. Friends, please suggest me, do you need a break or we can move further? My friends who are online, please suggest me, do you need a break or we can move further? I believe that all of you take a screenshot of this answer. Okay. Friends who are online, please suggest, are you online? If you are online, then please suggest, do you need a break or we can move further? Okay, we'll move further then. Let's move to the notes. Now we need to read some of the theory aspect of the target costing in order to gain the understanding on the concept so that we can answer the other questions as well. And also cover the study material, the concept given in the study material. Okay. Friends, by answering the KTC question, just give me a minute. I'll also update the Excel, which we need to solve. The question number 4, we already solved. That is the KTC, which was given on the page 4.20 of the study material. Apart from that, we also solved the Pixel Limited, which was asked in the November 2019, the question number 2A, part A of that particular question. So we done these 2 questions. Let's move further to the notes in order to understand the other concept. So we now attain the learning objective 4 as well. What was the learning objective 4? That is, what is the target costing, what are its feature and the scope? We learned that target costing is a systematic mechanism to produce the cost, to produce the product at predefined target cost while ensuring that we must earn the desired margin. Okay. Now, friends, quickly see the steps of target costing along with me, that what are the various steps which the company or a firm need to apply when applying the target costing. The first step is reorient the culture and thinking and attitude. Friends, here we will not produce the product with the requirement which is suggested by the designers or the technical team. We need to be focused on the customer requirement and understand what the feature in the product customer require and produce the product according to the need of the customer. Okay. Hence, the management must change its view. It must move from the cost leading practices to the market leading practices. Step number 2, identify the requirement. In order to identify the requirement of the feature in the product, we must conduct the market research, and market research will tell us that what are the features desired by the customer. Please mind it. If the company is dealing in the multiple product or going to launch multiple product, then it need to conduct the market research for each product individually in order to understand the requirement for that individual product. Further, the step number 3, establish the market driven target price. Obviously, when we move to the customer, we will try to understand the feature which customer desire and the price which customer is ready to pay. But while determining the market driven target price, we also consider the price which is charged by our competitor. We will also see the demand elasticity of the price. We will also consider the you can say that the structure of market, like how much share we can gain in the market. Further, the step 3A, which is subordinate to step 3, determine the volume of product which we produce at the above target price. Obviously, target price, like the question we just saw of the Pixel company, was 204. In the Pixel company, the target price was 204. We can produce the product in the 204 rupees, but we can sell only 50,000 unit at 204. So we need to determine both the thing, that the price will be 204 and at the 204 we will be able to sell 50,000 unit. Further, establish the target profit margin considering the long-term objective of the company as well as the financing side of the balance sheet of the company. Further, the step number 4, determine the target cost by reducing the desired margin from the market driven price. This is called deductive approach. We are deducting the desired margin from the target price in order to determine the target cost. But we will not lock the target cost here in the step number 4. We will move to the step number 4 in order to develop a balance between the target cost and the requirement. Because it's may possible that we are not able to deliver all the function desired by the customer. Then we will do the functional analysis in order to identify what are the functions which are very much essential, which must be in the product in order to serve the use purpose of the product. Because you might remember in the beginning of the class, we discussed that value of any product can be of 2 types. The first type of the value is the use value, and the second type of value is the esteem value. If some feature need to be cut down, that it must be of esteem value. It should not be of the use value. So that product must be useful for the larger purposes. Although we'll try, we should not remove even a single function. But still, we need to balance both the function as well as the target cost. At this stage only, friends, we prepare the different worksheets. And by preparing the worksheet, we will cut down the target cost into the different components. We componentize the target cost. By componentizing the target cost, we will try to assign the targets to the individual department who is responsible for manufacturing each of the assembly component to manufacture that assembly component within the target assigned to them. Now moving further, the step number 5, establish the target costing process. Obviously, in this step, we will constitute a team which is responsible for the target costing implementation in the company. Please mind it, this is very important phase because the team must be of the cross-functional expert, which will include the engineer, the designer, the management accountant, the marketing person, because marketing person will tell us what are the functions demanded by the company, then the purchase team member, then the production team member, because the design which is finalized by the designer need to be produced by the production team. Hence, a cross-functional team need to be developed. This is very, very important. Further, the step number 6, the brainstorming and analysis and alternate. We will try to develop the different design considering the feature which are essential. I show you this particular calculator, but this is not the only category of calculator available in the market. In the market, the small citizen calculator are also available. In the market, the calculator also available with the scientific functions. Hence, once you understand that, okay, this much function we require, we need to give the scientific calculation as well in our scientific calculator. Is it the only model of the scientific calculator? No, there are multiple models. So the designing team also, with the help of the engineering team and production team and the marketing team, try to develop various prototypes which could be possible, and also analyze what will be the cost of each prototype, because the prototype, in case of which the cost is less than the target cost, that prototype will be finalized. Hence, at this step number 6, we try to develop the various prototype which can be possible. This is very crucial stage, because at this stage we are going to finalize the design, which will lead to commitment of the 80% of the cost. Further, the step number 6A, establish the product cost model. Obviously, if we fix the design, now the cost table must be available for each of the alternate with us in order to determine that what is the cost. So in the step number 6A, which is a subordinate to 6, we are preparing the cost sheet for each of the prototype model in order to compare the cost between the different possible designs. Further, and it will be all estimated data. Further, the step number 7, the use of the tool to close the gap. Rajay, here we will refer the note number 17 of our notes itself. The note number 17 contains 4 major tools. The value analysis, no doubt we'll read when we reach to that level. Value engineering, Kaizen, lean manufacturing, and DFMA. DFMA stands for Design for Manufacturing Assemblies. So we will study these 4 tools, although out of these 2 tools, you already studied the Kaizen and the lean manufacturing in the chapter number 3. But the remaining 2 tools you will study along with me. I'll explain it to you. Okay, we'll determine the tool and implement that. Now the next step, the 7A, which is subordinate to 7, reduce the indirect cost application as well. Friends, here we will do the ABC or apply the ABC in order to understand what are the important cost drivers. And by changing the design, what are the cost driver impacted and how it will impact the final cost of the product. Okay, because obviously if we modify the design, modify the process through which the product will be manufactured, because design is not only of the product, design of the process is also important. Hence, if we change some process, obviously a product now need to spend less time on the assembly line or the production floor. Hence, the overhead allocation may be different because the cost will not be the same. Now, the last, you finalize the model, you are going to produce that. Now, what is need to be done? Measure the result, whether the model which you select, you are going to manufacture, is it okay or not? Who will do that? The management will do that. And management keep on focusing the product, because it may possible that in the First, value engineering. Now I am introducing the another term to you, value engineering. Because when the first time you try to achieve the target cost, you are looking into the different design which are possible and picking up the design which is most economical to you. You are doing the value engineering. Then friends, obviously, it may possible that you not find all the lacuna in the first go. If you not find all the lacuna in the first go, then you need to reapply the value engineering. But first time when we are developing the product and try to reduce the cost, we say it value engineering. Thereafterward, we can say it value re-engineering. But rather using the value engineering or value re-engineering, simply we can say that management keep on applying the Kaizen points based upon the feedback from the employees in order to reduce the further possible cost by doing the improvement. Hence, it means step number 8, make the process of target costing a continuous effort. It is not a one-time effort. It is a continuous effort. Okay, friends? Let me move further to the next note. But prior to the next note, there is an important consideration for you. Up till now, we study target costing as a deductive measure. What does it mean by deductive measure? We deduct the desired margin from the target price or the market-led price. But in the Kobe University, the research group identified rather than using the deductive measure, an adductive or additive approach can also be used to compute the target cost. Means identify the various function or the various component which is required to manufacture the product. I'll show you with the help of one example. If you are manufacturing this stick files, so you know you require this folder. Apart from that, you require the stick. These are the two things you require. If you determine the cost of manufacturing this stick and manufacturing this folder, by combining the two, you can determine the cost of the cost at which you are going to manufacture this stick file. Hence, in order to attain the target cost, we can move from the backward. We can do the reverse engineering. Even though what we can do, we can pick up our competitor's product and dismantle it to understand what are the various components they use to render the functions, and then try to adapt those category of the components. May not be the exact same component, but those category of component, because with the help of using such class of the component, we can also manufacture the same product with the reduced cost. Okay, so additive approach is also possible. Now we are moving further to the note number 11. Friends, based upon the discussion we done up till now, I feel you are able to understand this thing, that the target costing is a market-led price-based approach. It focused upon the customer. It's not a one-man job. Entire team or entire organization need to be involved. It tried to reduce the cost at the designing phase itself of entire life cycle, because at the design, if you pick the design which is most economical, then you will manufacture the product at the lesser cost, and you will also acknowledge that it also focus upon the function of the product. Obviously, those functions which add the value to the customer, we will retain, and those functions which will not add the value to the customer, we will don't retain them. Hence, based upon these knowledge which you already acquired along with me while reading the target costing up till now in this lecture, can establish the principle? Yes, no doubt you can do. Similar thing was already done by S. Ansari, J. Bell, and Don Sevenson in year 2006. They developed a kind of a template for implementing the target costing, how target costing can be implemented. While developing a model, the people develop the 6 principles. What are those principles? The first principle is the leadership of the target selling price. It means the selling price, which is determined after the market research. You are moving behind that. Everything is following that. Your effort, your processes, your product, your material, which you apply in the product, everything is focused upon that. Further, focusing on the customer, because you are starting with the functional requirement of the customer. What are the various feature function which the customer require? Based upon that, you are going to design the product. Further, using and developing a teamwork. Obviously, the target costing is purely a teamwork exercise. It is not a one-man show. As we already discussed at the point number 5 above, the step number 5, that a cross-functional team need to be developed, which include the engineers, the designer, the manufacturing personas, means the production personas, then the marketing team personnel, the management accountant also. So it's a team effort, which include the management as well as the worker both. Further, reduce the cost of the product life cycle. Friend, you might remember while explaining you the scope of the cost reduction, I draw a diagram which will discuss the cost of the product over the various stages of the life cycle. And what we discuss, if you design the product efficiently at the end of the design, because 80% of the cost is committed, you can control the cost of the product while it will be in manufacturing stage. Hence, the product life cycle cost can be controlled with the help of this. Then further, the focus on the stage of the product design. We are focused while we are designing the product, because if we design the product correctly, we can control the 80% of the cost very easily. But it does not mean we ignore the remaining stages. We consider the remaining stages as well. When we enter into the manufacturer and say the first lot, if the customer come up with some sort of the feedback that he don't like the feature, obviously we will change the feature. Now, we will not keep on producing the thing. This is the reason only 80% cost is committed. Still 20% cost can be later on, we can control or modify. Hence, our attention will be on all stages of the value chain. But our focus is upon the product design phase. When we say we will having attention on all the stages of value chain, it means we'll keep on performing the value analysis during the product life. But value engineering we perform only at the product design phase. And then thereafterward, we'll rely upon the value analysis. Okay, friends, so I believe that the note number 11, which deals with the principle of target costing, is clear to all of you. Now, I'll wait for another minute or two and seek your queries if there are any. Else, I'll move forward. I will read the note number 12 and the 13. And based upon the note number 13, we are having the case study, the Kaveri Limited. Very, very, very beautiful case study. So quickly send me your queries if there are any queries. Don't worry how much a portion of these notes we are able to cover in today's lecture. We'll cover that much only. And the remaining portion will cover in the Wednesday class. Okay. But we'll do the things in a very, you can say that, not at the rapid speed, at the reasonable speed, so that you can capture all the discussion. My friends, those who are online, please suggest me if there are any queries. Okay, then we'll move forward and we'll not take a break. We'll keep the lecture continue so that the maximum extent possible we can cover in our lecture. We will surely try to cover it. Okay. Moving forward to the note number 12. The pros Pros is a Latin word which means argument in favor. So argument in favor of the target costing. What it says, the processes and the product innovation. This will be the focus of the target costing to reduce the cost. By doing the innovation, by using the technology, we try to reduce the time of the production. By inserting the change in the design, which is innovative design, we try to reduce the cost of manufacturing the product. Hence, we are solving the problem of the customer by doing the innovation. At the same time, we are reducing the cost in order to attain the competitive advantage. So this is the first advantage of the target costing. Now moving to the second advantage. The savings suggested by target costing are the real savings. These are not based upon some optimum level of, based upon some yardstick level of the cost. The target costing is a cost reduction technique. We try to reduce the cost to the optimal possible level. You might remember the last step, the step number 9 of the step suggested above of the target costing. What we said, that management keep on focusing the various alternate through which they can reduce the cost. Hence, it's not a one-time exercise. Value engineering once can be used to reduce the cost dramatically. Then thereafterward, the Kaizen will be keep on using or applied in order to reduce the cost to the extent least possible or lower possible. Okay. The third point, proactive approach. Why it is proactive? Because prior to launching the product itself, in case of new product, obviously in case of the existing product after the launch, but prior to situation come that our sale decline, we reach to the market, we conduct the market research, we try to understand what the competitor are charging, what the customer ready to pay. Hence, it's a proactive approach. We are moving ahead than the actual production and the marketing. We are not producing the thing and then deciding the price. No, we firstly decide the price and then try to produce within that cost so that we can sell the product at the price which we determine. Okay. Now the fourth thing, enhance the employee awareness and empowerment. Obviously, when we try to look various alternate through which we can reduce the cost, we will bring or we will ask the employee to introduce their Kaizen point, and the employee introduce their Kaizen points, and based upon the Kaizen suggested by the employees, we will try to reduce our cost. Obviously, when the employee suggested the Kaizen point, management is listening to them, or management is applying the value chain where the customer, where the worker are participating, not customer, sorry, the worker are participating, the worker feel empowered. And when the worker suggests the Kaizen point, now we are applying the TQM, we also equip the worker to implement the suggestion which he is giving. So he feel empowered, and apart from focusing on the worker, we will also try to partner with the supplier. Sometimes the target costing team, which is responsible for reducing the cost, or the cost reduction team, also include the representative of the supplier. Maruti don't manufacture all the part which it use in order to assemble the car. It buy the part from some of the supplier. So obviously, if the supplier reduce the cost, they can provide the same part to the Maruti at some reduced cost. Hence, it's also reasonable to include the supplier's representative in the discussion of the target costing. Agreed? Now moving further, encourage the adoption of value added activity and elimination of non-value added activity to the residue level. Because what we said, if the product is new, you will perform the value engineering once in order to reduce the target cost. And then thereafterward, the value analysis is always available to you. And what is the value analysis? As per Michael E. Porter, he suggests value chain analysis, which is the base of the value analysis. You must determine the inbound and the outbound activities in order to see what are the activity creating or generating the value for the customer. And the activity which are not able to generate the value, you must remove those activities. And the activity which are able to generate the value, value-added activity, you must keep those activities. Further, it enhances the product life by reducing the time to the market. How it will reduce the time to the market? The design team got the support of the market team. They already know the functions. Hence, you need not to, you can say that reviewing the market again and again. You prepare the product which is already as per the specification of the customer and launch your product to the market, because your product is as per the specification of the customer. The specification are quite clear to you. You are not getting the feedback and then improving, then relaunching the product. Hence, you will get a better space in the market as well. The life cycle also enhances with this thing. And target costing is a market-driven approach. And market, if you are following, then obviously will give you some sort of reward by allocating the reasonable market share. So it's a purely market-driven approach towards the cost. It's not a cost plus profit to determine the price. Now the note number 13, the cons or the argument against the target costing. Okay. What is the first argument which is against the target costing? Sorry, there is a question from the Deepa. Just give me a minute. From the Mumbai. Additive approach, isn't it? Additive approach where as the function added, so the cost. Yes, absolutely. Deepa, you are absolutely correct. Yes, Kunalji, we are moving further. Okay. Let's quickly read to the limitation or the shortcoming of the target costing. What is the first limitation? The development process can be lengthened to considerable extent only. Please mind this thing. Development process means design phase of the product while we are developing the product. If we don't launch the product on the time and someone else who is our competitor get this information that this company is in the process of launching the product, they may launch the product ahead of us and capture the market space. Hence, it's very important to launch the product as early as it is possible. But your product needs to be full. Hence, the time available to the designing team to think the various alternatives to reduce the cost are not unlimited. It's a limited time available to them. Since the limited time available to them, hence obviously the all possibility, it may possible that due to the limitation of time, the all various possibility which are available not be considered. Further, can result in the finger pointing. What does it mean? The engineering team will say that we are doing the cost engineering, but the design team give us the design in such a manner. What else we can do? The design team will say the marketing team bring the feature which is desired by customer. Hence, we are just inculcating those features in the product. We are not doing something at our end. Hence, we are helpless. Then the marketing team, what they will say that we just refer the market like the manner the purchase team is referring to the market. They are buying the thing at the prevailing prices. We are selling the thing at the prevailing prices. What the purchase team will say? Obviously, they will blame the supplier only. Hence, a blame game will start. A finger pointing may start. But the target costing is a team effort, as we already mentioned. Hence, a strong team leader of the target costing team should be you can say that constituted under the strong leader who can manage such a sort of issue of a cross-functional team. Further, the difficult to reach to the consensus on a proper design. Obviously, a functional expert will say this function is a must. Without this function, you can't launch the product. But the market team say, no, this function is not essential. The category of the customer we are focusing, looking for the extreme value. They are not looking for the use value. So there may be a fight on this particular thing. Further, required the development of the detailed cost data. Because we see this thing, in order to determine which design or prototype is apt for us, we need to prepare the expected cost sheet under each design model. And it is very difficult to develop such a worksheet. I said the word, it is difficult. I didn't mention the word, it is impossible. It is possible, but at higher cost. Further, may reduce the quality of the product. Obviously, when time is limited and it is forced to you that you need to reduce the cost, then in order to get the performance related pay, the design team compromise with the function and launch the product with the less number of the function than what it is desired. Hence, it may possible that your product is not meeting with the requirement of the customer. It may lack the quality. Further, involve the great amount of the forecasting and estimation, because the data which you are bringing from the market, it is entirely based upon the expectation of the customer. Hence, you are doing what? You are forecasting what the customer are required in the upcoming time, and based upon that, you are developing the estimate. Even though while developing the cost data, you are estimating that what will be the inflation rate in the future, at what rate we will get the supplies from our supplier. So this feature is there. Further, the market-led information is a highly dynamic in the nature, because all the things are market-led, the price is market-led, the quantity you are going to produce based upon the consumption requirement of the customer is a market-led, and market is a dynamic. Hence, all your information are dynamic. It might possible that entire your calculation collapse because market is this much dynamic. No one knows the pandemic is going to hit in the month of the January and February, but in the March it hit badly to the market. If someone is then deciding to launch the product, obviously his product will move, or you can say that fade away like anything from the market, because the things are dynamic in the nature. The market is highly dynamic in the nature. Okay, moving further, we discuss the limitation. Is there a way to overcome this limitation? This is very important. Please mind it. The institute tested this thing in one of the examination question, how to overcome the limitation. We discussed that question in the Wednesday's class. Okay. So prior to move, we must consider this thing that there are the limitation. How we can overcome this limitation? The best solution is strong cross-functional target costing team, headed by or led by a strong leader who is having the effective control, who must be technically sound, who understand all the function to reasonable extent, not if to the professional extent. Hence, if we prepare the team in a well manner and keep them under the tight control of the management, tight control doesn't mean keep them, you can say that annoy them or irritate them. Tight control means regular conversation. Keep on asking, keep on suggesting, do the feedback, do the mentoring, do the brainstorming. These are the things. Okay. So this is very much essential. Friends, now we will move to the case study, which is a Kaveri Limited. And then afterward, we will wind up the session for the day. Okay. It's very, very, very important case study. Very sensible too. This case study is given on the page number 4.21 of your study material, the January 2019 edition. Okay. Please read the case study along with me so that we can answer the case study. Okay. Friends, there are certain methods to handle the case study. Although I'll not discuss it today's lecture, we'll discuss it in the lectures to come. What are the mistakes which we usually commit while solving the case study or answering the case study? But one of the fact I wish to consider, one of the precaution which I wish to consider, that whenever we are solving the case study, we must read the requirement prior to reading the fact once. Why? So that while reading the fact, we can highlight the important fact, which may be the part of your answer. Now, the requirement of this case study starts from here. Now, you, being a strategic performance analyst of KL, required to answer the following question. The first question, start from here and here only. So, we will study up till here. Identify the strategy which KL has adopted for Zingaro bike. So, company might be developing some product and we need to tell the what strategy they are adopted The strategies are of three types: the cost leadership, differentiation, and focus. You already studied these in the chapter 1 of the strategic cost management. These are suggested by Michael E. Porter in the year 1980, while he suggested, or in the year 1985 in his book, in response to the question which he asked in the book which he wrote in the year 1980. So this thing is quite clear to us what are the strategy, but after reading the fact of the question, we'll see that what strategy the company is following, or KL is following, the Kaveri Limited. Further, after adopting the target costing, identify the issue and the challenges faced by the KL and also suggest the remedial action to be taken to solve these issues. Okay, so we will consider the individual issue which may arise and also consider how we can resolve these issues. Now we will move to the case study in order to read this. Okay. So read, friend, along with me. The Kaveri Limited, KL, is manufacturer of the bike in India and it sells them in the India as well outside the India. The KL has just launched the world's smallest bike and the most affordable bike called Zingaro. This is very, very, very important word, most affordable bike. It means what is the strategy of the company? What strategy the company adopted? The strategy of cost leadership. What strategy the company is adopting? The company is adopting the strategy of cost leadership. Okay. Moving further, the bike, this is the answer to the first part. The bike is mounted with all aluminum, single cylinder, air-cooled 99.2 cc engine. It's purely technical thing which he suggested. He's telling you the configuration of the engine. The engine make just over 8 bhp power. bhp is a brake horsepower. It is different from the horsepower. Horsepower don't consider the loss due to friction, but whereas the brake horsepower consider the loss due to friction, and 8 Newton meter of the torque. What is the torque? Torque is the twist force or the rotation force due to which the rear wheel of the vehicle moves. Whereas power is what? The speed of application of rotation force, the speed of application of the torque. Okay, both are the technical thing. You need not to be aware about this, but I just tell you in order to gain the knowledge about the fact. But it's claimed to be the fuel efficient bike with claimed figure of 88 km per liter. It has been creating the competition for the two-wheeler as none of the Indian company as well as the foreign company offers the bike for such competitive prices within the reach of the middle class family. Hence, they are having a sort of competitive advantage because presently no one in the market is manufacturing such a sort of the bike. Okay, moving further. The KL has adopted the target costing technique in the manufacturing of this bike. For KL, the maintaining target price was difficult. Why the maintaining target price is difficult? Because obviously the cost of assembly component which is assembled into the final product may moving high. During the designing and the production processes of the bike, the input cost increase frequently. This is what we just mentioned, that the various part which will be assembled into the final product, they are getting costly. However, the KI designed the various components, especially for the bike, to maintain the target price. What they are saying, the KI developed the product. They are not using the standardized product which are already available with the supplier. They developed the product because their bike is made of all aluminum. This was mentioned earlier somewhere. Okay. This is a positive as well as a negative aspect. Why positive? They developed the component. Hence, they are having the complete control over the assembly products. But it leads to the high cost because they are supposed to incur the R&D cost of manufacturing those components. Apart from that, the absorption rate may be high because they are not producing in the large number of things. If they are instead of this using the standard component, which is supplied usually by the supplier in the market, then obviously they will get it at the cheapest possible rate available in the market. Hence, this can be seen in both the way. Further, though one curiously about how this can be done in the future when the input costs are bound to increase further. Friend, in the question's second part, we ask to identify the problem. This is the first problem. What is the first problem? Maintenance of target cost. This is the first problem because the prices are going to increase. The company find it difficult how it will maintain the price. Agreed? Now we'll go down and see the requirement 2 again. Okay, you can see the first problem which is mentioned, that is what? Maintaining of target price. But you are not only asked to highlight the problem, you are also supposed to suggest the solution. What is the solution for this? Value engineering must be performed. If the value engineering is performed at the design phase in order to make the design in such a manner that we can reduce the cost, then we must rely upon the Kaizen. Friend, in these notes itself, in the note number 19, we mentioned this thing. If the company failed to reduce the cost to the desired extent through the value engineering, or in the value engineering drive, it could not identify all the scope of the cost reduction. What it can do, it can rely upon the Kaizen. Further, many environmentalists have opposed the manufacture of this bike because they feel or believe that the mass production of the small bike, about 2.5 lakh bike every year, will create the heavy pollution. Now, this is the second issue. Problem number 2, environmental issue. This is mentioned here under. Okay. Now, what is the solution? You must commit to BS norms. What are the BS norms? Bharat Stage Emission Norms or standards. You might be aware, India is currently following the BS6 norm week. In the March 2017, the BS3 norms weaker are prohibited to sold and manufactured, obviously. And in the March 2020, the government gave the guideline that the BS4 vehicle will not be sold or manufactured afterward this date. But due to the COVID, although it extends the deadline so that the company can clear, automobile company can clear their stocks. Okay. Presently, we are moving or following the BS6 now. Okay. So the company can do what? Company can make sure they must be following this Bharat Stage Emission Standard, which is nothing but a kind of an guarantee that emission is not beyond this particular level and it is not harming to the environment. Moving further, many people believe that this small bike is not to the safety standard due to the lightweight and use of the aluminium and plastic frames. So this is problem number 3, that safety is the concern. What will be the solution, friends, to this particular problem? We can, while selling the bike, give the manual, safety manual. What are the various cons and the precaution which a person must consider? And secondly, we can also run a drive and it can also be used as an advertisement mechanism through which we will aware the customer that the safety is very much important and it's in hand of the rider. The rider of the bike must be considering these facts in order to save himself. Okay. Then further, the design of this bike is extremely different from the other bike. Since the design is different, hence it may possible the spare part is not available in the market, like for the other vehicle are available. This also causes a doubt that whether the existing bike mechanic would be able to repair the bike or not. Because obviously it is of new design, the mechanics are not, you can say that know the design, they are not aware about the design. Hence, it is a kind of a curiosity or a kind of a question or a kind of a doubt in the mind of the consumer whether the bike which they are going to buy from the Zingaru or prospective customer, whether the bike which he is going to buy from the Kaveri, the Zingaru, get the reasonable repair or not. So this is the service and repair. This will be the problem number 4. You can see here. What is the solution? The company can develop their own network of the service centers. Please mind my word. What company can do? Company can develop their own network of service center. On this, I have a case study to tell you. Mr. Mayank, who was a VP of Maruti, after rendering the 28 year of service, he moved to the Tata. While he became the VP for this passenger vehicle in the Tata, he tried to rebrand the Tata Motors in the passenger vehicle specifically. So first thing which he focused at to enhance the touch points. By increasing the touch point, the spare part selling station, the service station, by improving the touch point, it is always easy to sell the passenger car in India. Why do people buy the Maruti car? Number one, it's kind of a brand up in India, no doubt. We'll study a case study on this as well in the Wednesday lecture while studying the life cycle costing. But apart from that, the touch points are multiple. When the Mr. Mayank moved into the Tata, then Maruti has around 6,000 touch point, but whereas the Tata having around 36 touch point, but it moves to the 5,000 touch point in a very reasonable amount of time. So what they try to do, they try to increase the number of touch points so that the customer feel that the later on spare part is easily available and it's easy to repair the vehicle, maintain the vehicle. The cost of ownership is also less. It is not only the cost of purchase, the cost of ownership to him for entire life while he will own that particular automobile is also reasonable. Okay. Now moving further, the next line, the durability of the bike is another issue in the Indian environment. Sorry, this is not a good feature about the India. This is a defaming feature. But what it says further, the performance of the Zingaru more or less depend upon the condition of the road and the traffic system. So this will be problem number 5, that it depends upon the traffic system and the roads. So in order to ensure the safety and in order to ensure the durability, what company can do? Company can decide the tire quality based upon the expected condition of the road on which the bike is going to run, rough and tough tire or a soft tire. Apart from this, the company can also rely upon the hydraulic brakes rather than the normal brake, because the hydraulic brake system do what? It will use the brake fluid, and the brake fluid easily change the force from the controlling unit to braking unit. Hence, in order to avoid the you can say that substantial wear and tear, this factor can be considered. Further, after the launch of the Zingaru, Many other national and international automobile companies are also planning to manufacture the small bike, which will create the tough competition in the near future. Hence, the next problem is what we are facing, the competition. So global competition is also there. In between, there is a durability, and regarding durability, we already discussed that what we can do, we can provide this hydraulic brakes, and also tire quality we can decide. And now the solution to the last problem, the problem number 6 rather than 5, which I just mentioned. What is the solution to the problem number 6? That there is a competition. Do the benchmarking, do the Kaizen, keep on reducing the cost of your product as well. The Kaveri is free to implement the Kaizen in order to reduce the cost of the Zingaro to the lowest possible extent. Friend, we will hold up here for today's lecture. I'll wait for your queries. We'll spend the next 10 minutes to solve the query, then we'll wind up the lecture. If you view this lecture at the later stage on the YouTube, you, if wish to post the query there, you can. I will try to see the lecture link once prior to coming to the class on the Wednesday, and also answer the query asked by the student on the YouTube portal as well. Okay, so I'll be waiting for your queries. If any of a query you have, please ask me. And also give me the feedback, the kind of, you can say, the learning experience, the speed which we, at the speed at which we move on, and the thing which we wish to focus upon from the next lecture. Okay, I'll give you the 10 minute. Presently it's 9:11. We'll wait up till the 9:20 so that you can raise the query. Friends, in the next class, we will no doubt solve the questions which are pending. The 2 questions are pending, and one small case is also pending. We solve those questions on the target costing, and we will take up the life cycle costing. I have a beautiful cases and stories to tell you on the value engineering, how the Lawrence D. Mile applied the value engineering during the Second World War at the General Electronics, and later on he developed a formal model for that. Okay, so I believe that students who are viewing this lecture later on the YouTube will post their query there. And if they post the query prior to the next lecture and the next upcoming one day, I'll see those queries and try to answer those queries in the classroom itself. Okay, there are some queries. Thank you, Mridula. If the topics are clear to you, the purpose is very much resolved of this class. Thank you for your feedback. Okay, friends, thank you for your time and the devotion. I'm going to wind up the class. And if you have any doubt relating to this class, don't worry. Note down your doubt. You can take that in the next lecture too. We will discuss the remaining portion of these lecture note as well as the life cycle costing in the next lecture. The notes pertaining to the life cycle costing will be shared to you through the designated mode. Obviously, it will be also hosted on the download section of the BCC portal of the ICAI. And I'll try that these notes link also inserted in the description to the YouTube video. Apart from that, I'll try that by the tomorrow's afternoon, you'll get the notes of the next lecture too, so that you can come to the next lecture. After studying those notes, it will help you to gain the, you can say that, grip on the concept. In today's class, out of the 19 questions, we solved 3 questions. Obviously, we need to speed up because the time is a scarce resource. So we will speed up a bit in the next lecture and focus more on the questions and try to solve the more possible number of the questions which we able to solve in the class. With this, thank you. I'm gonna, okay, there is another message from Deepa in Mumbai. Thank you. Thank you very much, Deepa. Kunal Kumar from Faridabad. So which one is better, the corrective or the preventive measure? We studied in the chapter number 3 that the preventive cost is help to reduce the overall cost. Kunal, it depends the nature of the product which the company is manufacturing. Number 1, the nature of industry. Number 2, and number 3, Kunalji, it's also important that in what sense or in what aspect the word preventive is used there. So we need to consider that. I don't know to which paragraph you are referring of chapter 3. If you quote the exact paragraph, surely I will revert back to you. Okay, friends, then we are going to sign out for the day. Bye, everyone. Thank you for your time.